Where the heck is my stimulus check? The IRS economic update for Tuesday, April 21st. It's time for your IRS economic stimulus update. We've got three big stories on the show today. Three. We now know exactly when you're going to get your check. We actually have dates, folks, actual dates. I will show you all of those dates in a moment. Also on today's show, millions of people won't be getting checks at all. I'll explain what's going on there. And the third big story we're following is small businesses are about to get more money. So first, let's talk about the next round of IRS stimulus money that could be getting ready to be sent out to you. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin indicated an agreement has been reached with the Senate. They've ironed out the details to replenish that Paycheck Protection Program. I said it without stuttering this time. PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. This would also increase funding for hospitals too. Now the word is from the Washington that we could see this approved by tomorrow. That's great news for small businesses that are hemorrhaging money and laying people off like crazy right now. Over 22 million people now unemployed. So under this emerging deal, the government's Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses would get roughly $300 billion. Of course, this program has already been swamped by companies applying for loans, and it ran out of money last week. And a lot of large companies grabbed a lot of this money, but they pretended to be small companies. We'll talk about that in another video. Now, it's already approved 1.7 million loans. That's a lot. That left thousands of small businesses in limbo as they sought some help here. And so an additional $50 billion in the evolving deal would go for disaster loans also. Did you get your stimulus check yet? If you did or didn't, let me know in the comments below, and there might be a big reason why you didn't get your check when you thought you should have gotten it. So as the Treasury Department continues sending out stimulus checks to millions of Americans, some may never get their hands on those checks who need it the most. Under the CARES Act, anyone with a judgment against them for any private debt could lose their stimulus to a debt collector. Debt collectors are coming after your stimulus checks, folks, and the CARES Act allows it. Since the very beginning of the coronavirus outbreak, lenders have stepped up their efforts to go after your money. So you're probably asking, what kind of debt can they do this for? What about a parking ticket? What about a lawsuit where you owe someone money? What about a collection for a credit card debt? Those are all great questions. Let's answer them. So right off the top is child support payments. If you owe child support, they can take your money to pay the child support payments. No questions asked. If you have an old medical bill, they can also take your money right out of the stimulus check. So you might not even know that you have an old outstanding medical debt floating around out there on your credit report. Well, guess what? They can tap your stimulus check in order to pay that old medical debt. No questions asked. What about that old parking ticket that I forgot about? Now it's racked up hundreds of dollars in late fees. Guess what? Yes, they can take your money right out of the stimulus check to pay that old parking ticket. Sorry to say. In fact, I had a $5 parking ticket from the University of Pittsburgh where I went to school. I didn't know about it for years because it like blew off the car, in a snowstorm. And I ended up having to pay hundreds of dollars in late fees because I didn't know about it. Any debt that has gone to collections where there's a judgment against you, they can take that stimulus money. Now, of course, a judgment would have to be rendered against you in a court action, like a writ of execution, as it's called, for them to even levy your bank account first, like a deficiency judgment. So another big question is, how are these debt collectors getting this money? Are they simply sitting in your account waiting for money to hit the account, or do they get it before it hits your account? So here's the deal. If you're getting your stimulus check directly deposited right into your account, then you're the ones who are getting screwed by this more quickly. So if that account is seized, or if there's a judgment against you, you won't ever see that stimulus money because it's going right into their pockets. Or you could see the deposit hit your account, and then you suddenly see the debt removed from the balance. So you get like $1,200 and suddenly it goes down to $800. And let's be honest here, man. Americans are massively in debt. It's one of the most common financial problems facing us. Approximately 70 million Americans say they've been contacted by debt collectors, or they're already in collections. But the worst situation is that all the people who don't know they've got an outstanding debt, like me with that parking ticket, they log into their bank account, they see money missing from their bank, or their tax refund, or their paycheck. So debts happen to everyone. The most common way is that we move to another house or an apartment and we never got that letter in the mail. That happened to me years ago. I had a Macy's card. For some stupid reason, I opened a Macy's card. I used it to buy one Christmas gift and I forgot about it. It was like a $20 Christmas gift. And then I moved addresses and totally forgot that I had a Macy's account. And a few years later, there was this outstanding collections on my credit report. And I said, what the heck is that? So that's what happens, folks. And according to a report, it's not until you're expecting a check like that is when you even learn that you have a debt that's outstanding. So what's the government doing about this? Well, a lot of consumer advocacy groups are calling on government leaders, begging them to stop this from happening. And some members of Congress are calling on the Treasury Department to actually make these stimulus checks off limits. But that hasn't happened yet. So now states are having to take matters into their own hands. Massachusetts and Ohio have reclassified these checks so they can't be touched. If anything is considered a public debt, New York State doing the same thing. But the problem is these are all like a hodgepodge solution. There's no national solution for this. It's a mess right now. For instance, the city of Chicago has said, hey, they're not going to try to collect on those old parking tickets. That's nice because that city is brutal for slapping parking tickets on cars. You park for 1 second, there'll be a parking ticket on your car. But this is a patchwork of solutions. Chicago over here, another random city over here. It's all random right now. There's no national solution. So these consumer groups are calling for a national plan to protect these checks. People are hurting big time and they need this money. So here's one solution for you if you have one of these debts. Get on the phone with the IRS and ask them to send it as a paper check instead of a direct deposit. Yes, it's going to take longer, but at least no one will be able to touch it in the meantime. Then when you get that paper check in the mail, you're going to want to cash it for cash instead of depositing it into your account where it might be seized by one of these debt collectors. So that's a little bit of extra protection for you if you have one of these debts that you're worried about. Okay, and the third huge story we have today, and I know the one you've probably been waiting for, is that we now have dates as to when you'll get your stimulus checks if you haven't received it yet. 140 million households will get the stimulus. But when will it arrive? Well, we now have dates right out of the Treasury Department, folks. So according to the Washington Post at this hour, the IRS's plan is to send its first batch of payments to those folks who have their direct deposit information on file. Those have already started going out. That's about 80 million Americans. After that is done, it's going to start issuing the paper checks, of which it said it can print about 5 million of them per week. That's about all they can print. However, the IRS isn't going to simply draw names out of a hat or Social Security numbers to determine when you're going to be paid. Rather, it's actually going to be issuing paper checks on a weekly basis based on how rich or poor you are, based on your adjusted gross income in $10,000 increments. Do you know what your AGI is from 2019? If you know what your adjusted gross income is from 2019, if you've already filed your return or your 2018 return that you have yet to file, this will tell you precisely when you will receive your check. Now pay attention. You may have to pause the video here and write this down or scroll back here. I'm going to put these up on the screen based on your income, and you're going to see your date like the credits in a movie or go right up the screen here, okay? You ready? So if the IRS has your direct deposit information on file the week ending April 17th, paper checks for people with up to $10,000 in AGI ending the week April 24th. That's when it starts. So now pay attention here, folks. Ready? All right, here we go. See if you can identify yours. If you've got between 10 and 20,000 AGI, it's going out May 1st. Between 20 and 30,000, it's going out the week ending May 8th. Between 30 and 40,000, the week ending May 15th. Between 40 and 50,000, the week ending May 22nd. Between 50,000 and 60,000, the week ending May 29th. Between 60 and 70,000, the week ending June 5th. Between 70-80 is the week ending June 12th. Between 80 and 90,000, that's the week ending June 19th is when those checks will go out. Between 90 and 100,000 adjusted gross income is the week ending June 26th. And between 100 and 110, that'll be the week ending July 3rd. Between 110 and 120, that's the week ending July 10th. Between 120 and 130, the week ending July 17th. Between 130 and 140, I need a drink of water, the week ending July 24th. And between 140 and 150, the week ending July 31st. Between 150 and 160, the week ending August 7th. Between 160 and 170, it'll be the week ending August 14th. Between 170 and 180, the week ending August 21st. Between 180 and 190, the week ending August 28th. And we're almost done here, folks. Between 190 and 198, that'll be the week ending September 4th. All other checks, those who don't have tax info on file, those will be sent out the week ending September 11th. So you'll note that based on this payout schedule, all single filers, with the exception of those who don't have their tax info on file with the IRS, should receive their stimulus checks by the end of June. Meanwhile, all the head of household filers will have received their paper stimulus payouts no later than July 24th. And last but not least, married couples filing jointly with those higher income levels, but still low enough to receive a stimulus check, could receive their payout as late as the beginning of September. So we were right, folks. When we said September is when a lot of these people would receive their checks, we weren't lying. That's when a lot of people are going to get their checks, especially if you don't have any information on file with the IRS. So these are the people that are hardest hit right now. Please go to irs.gov and put in your direct deposit information on their website, because if they don't have their info on file, you don't have any tax filings with them, you're going to be waiting until September, folks. September. So go and put that information on file. So that is your economic stimulus update for this day. We will see you back here tomorrow. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and we'll have more news tomorrow as this thing evolves.